still have bills. Today, I want to talk to the woman who just found human design and immediately felt overwhelmed. Not because human design was overwhelming, but because life is. Because maybe you're listening to this podcast and thinking, girl, I still have bills. I still have kids. I still have a job. I still have responsibilities. I still have people depending on me. I don't have 6 months to disappear and find myself. I don't have time to spend 3 hours a day studying my chart. I don't have the luxury of putting my entire life on pause while I figure out alignment. And if that's where you are, I want you to know something. I get it, boo. Because that's where most of us find human design. Not at the beginning of life, not when everything is calm, not when everything is figured out. We find it in the middle. In the middle of burnout, in the middle of motherhood, in the middle of grief, in the middle of healing, in the middle of trying to hold everything together. And I think sometimes the self-development world forgets that. It forgets that many of us don't need another thing to master. We need something that helps us breathe, something that helps us make sense of our lives, something that helps us take the next step. Not the next 100 steps, the next one. Because let's be honest, most of us aren't thinking, how do I become my highest self? We're asking, how do I make tomorrow feel a little better than today? How do I stop feeling so disconnected from myself? How do I stop feeling like I'm constantly surviving? How do I stop abandoning myself every single day? And that's where I think human design becomes powerful. Not because it gives us all the answers, but because it gives us a place to start paying attention, to start listening, to start trusting ourselves again. And trust me when I say this, you do not need to change your entire life this week. You do not have to quit your job. You do not have to leave your relationship. You do not have to move across the country. You do not have to wake up at 5 a.m. You do not need a color-coded planner. You do not need a perfect morning routine. You do not need to become a different person. You need one moment of honesty. One moment where you ask yourself, what do I need right now? Not next year, not 5 years from now, right now. Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need boundaries. Maybe you need support. Maybe you need to stop saying yes when you mean no. Maybe you need to stop treating yourself like a machine. Maybe you need to admit that you're tired. And maybe that's enough for today. One of the biggest lies we've been sold is that transformation has to be dramatic. In my experience, the most meaningful changes start quietly. A different choice, a different thought, a different conversation, a different response, a different level of honesty. Those small moments become momentum, and momentum becomes change. So if you're listening to this while folding laundry, driving to work, picking up kids, sitting in a parking lot, trying to gather yourself before going inside, I want you to hear, you do not need to figure out your entire life tonight, and you better not try. You do not need to master human design this month. You do not need to have all the answers. Your only job right now is to take the next right step. That's it. One step, one choice, one moment of self-trust, one act of alignment, and then tomorrow you do it again. Because the life you're trying to build is not created all at once. It's created one decision at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time, and that's enough. And it's always been enough. Thank you for spending this time with me. And until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're carrying more than most people know, and you're doing better than you think. Love and light.